Hello dog lovers, and in this video today we're going to discuss heel. And so like we talked about in some of the previous posts, we're looking at the dog's going to be on our left, and approximately their shoulder is going to be lined up with your left leg. If you are just working with your dog for better commands, better understanding, and just want a pet dog, you're not actually going to show obedience or do anything besides just have your dog be better behaved for you as the family pet, then you don't have to be as precise here. I like to think of it as there's a button on the ground, you know, next to my left leg, and every time the dog's front feet step on the button, Ace, then you would mark that position hold. So we're going to use Ace, who's one of my German Shepherds, and to go over so you can kind of see, you know, where we want to mark the position hold for heel and move through that. Now initially, I don't actually use the command because the dog doesn't understand that heel means to be in this location next to you. You want to reward and reinforce the dog being there to start, and then once the dog starts to choose that behavior, that's when I like to add the actual word to say, hey, what you've been doing is called heel. So then the dog understands, oh, all right, standing next to my person on the left, and this little location here is heel. So when they say that, that's where I should go. Initially, they don't understand. So instead of getting stuck where a lot of people do, where they're like heel, 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 or sit, 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 and you repeat your command word too many times, you actually wear that out for your dog. It's better to reinforce and work on the actual follow-through behavior and then add your word in later when the dog understands what you're asking. This also gives a good area for making mistakes as the handler, because you're going to make mistakes. And the dog's going to make mistakes. This is a learning experience, especially if you're not a professional trainer. It's a learning experience for everybody across the board. So you'll find that certain things work with your dog better than others, and at this point, you're just reinforcing the location or the position spot for the dog. So I'm going to work around here with Ace for a second so you can kind of see how that goes. I like to use a regular leash. I sometimes will do it on a long line, but I actually hold up so the dog only has like 2 to 3 feet of leash so that they can move out of heel position, but not so far that they're up there and they're distracted, or way back there and they're distracted. So it gives them room to be in the incorrect position to make the mistake so that you can really nail down, I need you here. If you hold your dog in heel position the whole time, they don't understand what isn't heel position. So we want them to be able to step outside of that spot and go, oh, that's not what you want me here. And so it helps them figure out exactly the position you would like them to be in. If you're using treats, I often will put them in my right hand and then have the leash in my left. And then that way I can, pop those out kind of Pez dispenser styles, how I think about it in the beginning, because I'm marking the position, marking the position, marking the position when I'm reinforcing at the same time. I also like to hold my hand up here often, or in this general area, and that's because your dog knows where the treats come from. They're not dumb. So they know that the treats are coming from your hand, but by you pulling it up here, you're going to start to get your dog's attention this way, and it's very easy to work that into eye contact, or I want you to look at me while you heel, if that's the route you want to take. So we'll just do a little bit here with Ace. Sit. Good boy. So I like to start them in a sit or in the general position there. And then I don't take a path necessarily. I like to just walk around, do figure eights, do lots of turns, because if the dog steps out ahead, you want to turn away. If the dog is lagging behind, you can cut in and put them back into position and reinforce it without pulling them there or trying to place them there or hold them in position. So we'll do some of that here. Ace, good boy. So I'm not going to use the command word at this moment. We're walking. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. We're going to turn away. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. And now we're going to turn in. Good. Yes. Now, another key thing that you'll want to work on separately is sitting to the side. Most people, when you work on sitting with your dog, you work out front. You teach the dog to sit, you reward, and they sit and do what you ask them to do. And you don't actually transition it to the side. I've had some dogs, it's very confusing for them to go, oh, well, when you want me to sit, the command sit means to come out in front of my person and sit down. Well, if you're working on heeling and you want the dog to sit to your left, then having them out in front is not the right location. And so I also work on having my dog sit to the side of me. And there's a few ways you can do that. I like to pair recall, which we'll go over in a different video, but having the dog, I always have the dog come into my right side, and then I can lure them around to come around to the left side into a sit, and then you can move heel position from there. However, if you have a dog where you're working on, we're just going to work on sit over here. Ace. I oftentimes will lure the dog in. Sit. Yes, good boy. And then I come back to them. So I might have them sit because they're going to default to the front. That's okay. And then step in and treat them. So they get used to you coming in on the side. So you can get them accustomed to, oh, my person can be here and still treat me. And work your way till your dog is sitting around to the side. Ace. Sit. Stay. So they come around to the side, and sometimes, like I said, you have to practice in front and you move to the dog first. Other times I've had dogs where you can lure them around and have them sit and they'll sit right there. So it kind of depends on your dog and what they're comfortable with and what they understand, because they may very well be like location based, and some dogs are very like set in, well, you told me to sit and that means I need to sit in front of you and look at you. So you're asking them to do the same behavior on the side, and they are confused. So you might have to show them that you can stand on the side and they can still sit and do the same thing. Sit. Yeah, those aren't for you. So when you're working on heel, you're not actually using the command word yet. You're just marking position, marking position. And then as you saw as I worked through with Ace, if the dog is starting to get out in front of you, then you can turn away. So we'll do one here up close. Ace. Yes. So if they start to get out in front of you as the handler, they start to get out ahead. He's going to be poor at this. Then you'd want to J away so you can mark it. Good boy. If he lags behind, say your dog is lagging behind you, then you can turn in and put the dog back into position. Now, when you're turning in, you're hitting that shoulder as you go. So the dog has to spin away from you. So I like to use that as, okay, we're just going to work around and work our figure eights and things, and see where the dog's going to step on the button. He's going to hit the correct position, or she's going to hit the correct position. So you're just walking, and dog starts to come out in front too far, J away, and the dog will have to come around this way, and you can mark it. If the dog's lagging, then you can walk into the dog at the shoulder and mark it, because when you walk in, they're going to be in the heel position. So your basic starting point is when the dog comes into position, by you helping them, you're prompting, you're moving them into that spot, you're marking it, you're rewarding it, you're following through and being consistent and consistent and consistent until the dog goes, oh, if I hang out here, I get treats. Or petting. Petting works great, like we talked about before. A lot of times I'll reach down and ruffle the other side of the dog opposite of me, a nice pet. You can use balls or ropes. It's just you have to make sure that you have a handful of those so you can swap out as you go. So you're reinforcing the position hold. The dog will start to hold that position. They will start to stay in that area and say, I really like this. This is good. Keep bringing the reinforcement. Because we're teaching something new, we're doing it 100% of the time on our rewards. As the dog knows it, then we will start to work through that and phase that out. I will go through that in a different video. So to start, you are just reinforcing the position hold on the heel. Once the dog starts to hang out there, then I will add the command, but I usually do it sparingly. So I may start standing, having the dog in a sit, and cue heel and step off with my leg that's with the dog, so my left leg, and cue heel, and then the dog comes along, you mark it, good job, good job. I do more marking the position without saying the word, so that the dog understands that heel means I need you to move with you or with me as long as I am walking. It's when I cue something else, then you transition to whatever else I've asked, whether it's sit, down, stay, or I'm just stopping. So by cueing it when you start, and then reinforcing as long as the dog is heeling and hitting that position, and then when you're stopping, I usually use my release cue, so it can be free, frei for German, okay, a lot of people I know say okay, and so when you're done, okay, that means they can move about on the leash. They don't have to be in the heel, but they can't pull, so we're still doing loose leash walking. So there'll be a couple of snips of me working with some other dogs that have a different variety of understanding of heel, where some are more advanced, they understand it a little bit farther down the line, and some it's like really brand new to them. So you can see the maneuvering, the marking, and that kind of stuff. If you have a small dog and you don't want to be reaching down to treat, you've seen my Chihuahua. I have several small dogs as well as large dogs, and so sometimes reaching down here is a pain in the butt. So I oftentimes will use like a spatula I've designated for the dogs, or I have like a rubber stick, and I will use peanut butter or spray cheese, canned food, the ground kind, so it sticks a little bit more, and then I just get a nice glob, and then when we walk around, we just kind of, I think of it like a magic wand. We just kind of boop the animal in the front. Good job, and you can reward and mark as you go. Now, the only downside to this is the dog knows you have food if you have the spatula or the stick, whatever you're using. So there's another step of phasing this out, so the dog understands that they will still get reinforced for doing the behavior without the presence of the item that holds the treats. Where if you're working with other treats, I keep them in all my pockets. So I have, some in my sweatshirt pocket, I have some in my pants pocket. If I have jeans, I get them in my back pocket, coats. I don't think I own an item of clothing that doesn't have treats in it at some point. So I don't use baggies for the most part, or treat bags or pouches, because I find then the dog looks for the treat pouch. They look for the bag, or they hear the crinkle of the bag. I want the dog to go, that human could have food on her, and the only giveaway is just my presence. I mean, obviously they can smell if I've got something stinky or, like hot dogs or something. But this way, if I've got food in my pocket or my coat or whatever, and then sometimes I don't. When I'm working and we're doing farther along things, maybe I have a cookie or something that's down the road. But that's for saying, hey, sometimes I have food, and sometimes you follow the behavior. I just need more of it to get the reward. Then your dog will be consistent on following through. So think about what you're using to hold your rewards. Are you using the same thing every time? It's fine to start with, but at some point you'll have to make that transition, because most dogs are not dumb. They'll figure it out. Oh, treat pouch means treats. If you don't have the treat pouch, you don't have treats, I'm not following through, I'm not going to get a reward. So you want to be ahead of the game when it comes to your dog's problem solving skills on certain things. So that's why I put my stuff in my regular pockets all the time. And yes, probably smell like dog treats all the time, but that's part of the game. So for heel, we're starting. We're not necessarily using our command word. Putting the dog to the left. I think of, I kind of think of like if I'm standing here with my shoulders straight out, the dog is going to be like if I were to reach down, I could pet the dog here. Their front shoulders, the front legs, their shoulders should be aligned with my left leg. And then I usually have my treats come out this side. Petting, you can use the same side. I've had a couple of clients in the past where it was more useful for them to treat with their left hand and hold the leash in their right for heel. That's fine, whatever works for you. You just want to make sure, I still try to have them hold their food or something up more here in this area, chest area, so that it gets the dog to look up instead of just stare at their hand, because we're not interested in the dogs looking at our hands all the time. We want connection here with the handler, and the treats are just there to reinforce the communication and connection with the handler. So we'll start there, and then we'll kind of expand on that in the next video. Arlo. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. 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 Arlo, heel. Yes. Heel. Yes. Heel. Yes. All right, you ready? Yes. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Good boy. Sit. Yes. Sit. Yes. Okay. Heel. Good boy. Over. Heel. Good boy. Yes.